The genesis of the court was me having a conversation with my spouse, and that is Dr. Stacy Speedley Gonzalez. She's a published expert on trauma and addiction, and we had that conversation through a process of getting to know each other, and me telling her of what my experience was in the courts, and that included being a specialty court or drug court attorney from early on in my legal career, and looking to use those courts to make a meaningful impact in our community. And you couple that with, at the time in 2018, the record number of domestic violence courts that were being ticked in our county, and no one seemed to have an answer to bring those numbers down.
It's a court that is so needed in San Antonio because of the lack of resources there is for individuals who are in Bexar County, live in Bexar County, and have had adverse, experiences in childhood, and they've never been treated.
Downtown is the most dangerous place for women to live in the whole state of Texas. It has the highest number of women being killed at the hands of their paramours. So you take that data and you ask, what can be done to change the trajectory of those numbers? And it's a simple answer. You need to get to the offenders early on in the stages of that behavior so that we can change that behavior by changing their brain circuitry, by changing how they respond to it emotionally, by making sure that we have someone that is clear-headed when making these decisions. So that includes getting them sober, treating the trauma, addressing the issues that lead to them reoffending. So we get them housed, we get them employed, and we set them up for success, as opposed to just releasing them back into the community, angrier, more resentful, and the trauma continues.
It's the 4 phases of our framework, and we teach acknowledgement, which is conocimiento, entendimiento, integración, which is integration, and also movimiento, right, movement. So those 4 phases, they're all connected and rooted to our ancestors' teachings and traditions, and then we add on that trauma-informed care with this program.
When we started to talk about and think about what we were going to need to make this court a success, at that time, I was already reading data that the traditional avenues to treating this population was not going to be helpful to us. And that meant we were going to have to pull away from programs like the Batterers Intervention Prevention Program. Why? Because many of them, as we've been educated as judges, do not have a trauma component in their curriculum. And I had been looking for something that would replace it, and without me looking for it, one day I'm in my chambers and in walks this 6-foot-something dude, and I'm looking at him, and he introduced himself, and that was John Vaca right here. And he comes in and he says, "Judge, I've been told you're the judge I need to talk to, and you're trying to start this program for violent offenders, and I've got a curriculum that's been developed just for them. Have you heard of Jerry Dale?" And my mouth just dropped. And it dropped because I had met Jerry Dale over 30 years ago on my journey to get LCDC certified, licensed chemical dependency counselor certified back in the 90s. And I had attended a Jerry Dale session at a Takata conference in Austin. And he was talking about healing the broken man, talking about el hombre noble. And at that time, I had never heard anyone put into words what we needed to do to address what our culture needed to do to heal our men. So when he mentioned Jerry Dale on that day in 2019, I was very much interested in what Jerry Dale had put together working with the American Indians in Texas. And that initially was known as the MP360 curriculum, which is now the Pathways to Healing curriculum, which is specifically developed, not for men, but it's developed for violent offenders with a substance abuse problem, and that's our population. And so John Vaca and American Indians in Texas at the Spanish Colonial Missions has played an integral, imperative role in the success of this program.